qualitative. GIS organizes information into layers, e.g. roads, buildings, elevations that can be stacked to visualize relationships, patterns, and trends. I'll just briefly explain that. You start with a base map, and you can overlay on top of that layers which contain information on specific geographical situations, and then you can link to a website, I beg your pardon, a spreadsheet or a database. Section 4 of the 1981 Ordinance establishing the Tree Commission describes the duties and responsibilities of the Tree Commission and requires the establishment of a comprehensive city tree plan. A necessary part of this plan is a tree inventory of all trees in parks, along streets, and other public areas. A GIS system would allow for GPS location of each tree, which could then be uploaded to a digital map. Each tree could then be linked to a spreadsheet or database detailing species, age, condition, when planted, when pruned or trimmed, when dead, or any other parameter. Section 4 requires that the information be updated at least annually. Click on a tree on the digital map and have instant access to the information. This map could also be made available public viewing online or social media. I think specifically it could be made public. Need to publicize what we're doing good work, where we're doing good work. The alternative is recording position by address location. So if there's a tree on a verge in front of a house, you can put it in front of 437 Center Avenue or whatever. And where possible, or by measured distance and transferring the location to a physical map, which then gets stored somewhere, who knows where. Data could be filed and stored in a hard or digital file, but would have to be searched separately. Any public inquiry would require a visit to wherever the information is kept. Other city boards and commissions could benefit from having a layer included in the system. Parks and Recreation, Historic Landmarks, and the Cemetery Board all have geographical locations to which data can be attached. The city administration could also employ layers. For instance, there is not currently available a map of city wards. Click on each ward, find the name of your councillor with contact information. Demographic information could be included. I'm sure there are other types of information that people may be interested in to do with their ward, if they're interested at all. The city administration could also employ layers, and this is probably the most important part that I would like for you guys to consider. For instance, there is not currently available a map of city wards. I just went through that, didn't I? Derelict properties can be recorded. Some information could be made public. Tax records, delinquency information, legal and other parameters that require management by the city can be made available for administrative view only. City streets could have a layer, and data could include repair dates, type and cost of repair, either projected repairs or repairs that have already been. I mean, you can list a whole lot of stuff there. Law enforcement firefighting data could be analyzed to ensure maximum efficiency of those services. And again, we're back to AI. Geographic information systems provide city management with a centralized visual platform to analyze spatial data, optimizing urban planning, infrastructure maintenance, and public service delivery. Key benefits include improved decision-making through data visualization, enhanced asset tracking, increased operational efficiency, and better citizen engagement, ultimately driving sustainable and equitable development. And as some footnotes, I know that Marty here, along with Nate Stansbury and Tyler Strader, city employees at one time or another, or now, have begun a project involving an open source GIS program. What I'm advocating for really is a professional setup, similar to what the county has. I would encourage you as a first instance to talk to Nate Stansbury, because he has, and actually Councillor Sims also has a qualification in this area. I know budget time is coming up. I know you're going to be busy with other things going on, but we need to, the Tree Commission needs to get this tree inventory going as part of this plan, because it's kind of key to keeping records key to keeping records. I know. Oh, I did left out the from the historic area. Currently, you have the Clio system with a guide, which is based on it's not you can't analyze the information on there, and there's not much room for putting notes. You can hook up a little notepad to it to each house that's in that area, but to put that in the system as well allows you to put a lot more information out. And you've got some terrific, I mean, the bank, the old bank on Center and Bank there with its vault and its history. You could write pages about that place and post it up there. So I think, like I said, I hope that you'll consider this. And we hope that you can get something moving on it. I'm not telling you how to do it or which way it's got to be done, but like I said, my advice would be to take consulting from anybody that can give you a professional view on it. Thank you very much.
I have one question. Do we have an
No,
estimated?
I'm sorry.
Do we have an estimated cost of what this program?
No, I don't know. There are some low cost professional setups out there, but it requires more knowledge of how to operate the system, how to set up the system, how to run layers, and so on and so forth. And I did talk at one time. I talked to the county assessor, John Breen, and he had talked to Nate Stansbury when Nate was the manager, and about piggybacking onto their system. So it could be set up as a total Lewis County thing. Yeah. Yeah. So and John Breen said he was open to that. That obviously didn't go any further after Nate left. But that's a possibility there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just would like to say, Mr. Darling, I know we have spoke on this.
Yeah.
And I do think it is a great idea and something that would be very beneficial to the county and all departments.
Yeah.
If we could find a way to do this, at an efficient cost, I think the biggest cost up front would be building the maps and the databases, and of course going out throughout the city and getting the information that would be needed to be put into there.
Well, I mean, from our point of view, it's really the tree inventories, just going around the public trees with the GPS set, taking the coordinates and entering into the system.
Yeah, and that would be
and then
pretty
you flag them and then click on them for whatever. Yes, I agree with that. A landmark surveying is the party that's doing the actual engineering for the county. Again, I'm sure if they can sell you something, or if they think they can sell you something, they'd be happy to come and do a presentation.
Well, I worked for Landmark for a summer doing GIS for them back whenever I was in college, so I am familiar with what they do.
Yeah.
The other information that you've got in here, such as far as the streets, parks, and all that, would also be, a great addition.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a wonderful idea, and something that we should discuss, and I think it really would improve the city government as well as the county.
I think you just signed up as the person to go and head around town and ask a few people questions there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any more? Sorry, I keep turning my back on you guys. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Darlington.
Next on the agenda, we have our city attorney, Sam Harold, and he's going to give us a presentation on welcome to city government.
Well, on a lighter note, let's talk about ethics. No, I do want to make this a light conversation, and I'm going to try to make it as brief as possible. But talking to Joe, I thought it was important to just kind of give an update, since it is kind of the early in the year, as to what we deal with in city government with regard to the Ethics Commission, Open Meetings Act, and things of that nature. As council should be aware, and I'll just let you know, we have the Open Meetings Act. It's found in Chapter 6 of the West Virginia Code, and what that requires is that all of our discussions be open to the public, because the public should be aware of what we talk about and what we debate about. We are required to do the agenda, so council needs to make sure that anything that they want with regard business-wise, it gets to Joe or Kathy and gets on the agenda in an appropriate time. So it's published and the public can show up and have a say in what government is doing. There are some exceptions to that. And I would encourage you to look at Chapter 6. It has to do with the Governmental Opens Meeting Act. There are some exceptions to that. We don't talk about employee matters out in the public. We don't get into personal information. If the city is involved in any sort of an internal investigation or criminal investigation or audits or things like that, those are also exceptions that we can go into executive session and talk about. Property investments, funding investments, anything that has to do with business of the city that would involve the transaction of our funds, public funds, we are allowed to take that into executive session and discuss that. That's something we don't want to put into the public, not because we think the public shouldn't know about it, but if we're in competition for something like a piece of property, we're allowed to talk about that privately so that we don't run afoul of somebody else and they try to grab it out from underneath of us. And of course, the final thing is legal matters. I've explained this to Joe when I got hired early, and I've had this policy with all the municipalities I work with. On the agendas, I'll never put anything on there legally because I don't want the public to know what any legal advice I'm going to give or what it's about. If they're legal matters, we'll do that in an executive session and talk about it. Unless it's just a basic update that says, hey, council, I took care of a deed and it's all taken care of. That's fine. But legal opinions and things like that, we do an executive session. The second thing with the Open Governmental Meetings Act is the West Virginia Ethics Act. And I'd call your attention to the fact that we have a West Virginia Ethics Commission here in the state. They have a great website that you can hop onto. And if you hop on there, the West Virginia Ethics Act and the Open Governmental Meetings Act is both on the Ethics Commission website. But the Ethics Act, really the nuts of that is you can't, as a member, either a public employee or a public representative or official, you can't use your position for any monetary gain or influence. If you hop onto there and take a look at the code, it has a whole litany of things in there that a public employee and a public official cannot get involved in financially. And you'd be surprised about how they classify it as remuneration, the things that are in there. And I would encourage you to read it. For example, the mayor can't have an employee paint her house for her. You can't use your position, for example, if you're an attorney, you can't use your position on council to get work from the city and things like that. But I'd encourage you to go down through that and study those things so that you don't step on a landmine and do something that will get you in trouble. But don't be afraid of it, because I also point out that if you hop onto the Ethics Commission website, they have all the advisory opinions that they've ever done. And I think they go back to 1992. You can hop on there and pull those up. They break them down by categories. And you can pull up almost any question you have on there and read advisory opinions that they've given other municipalities in the past. With that being said, to get on the advisory opinions and to have those done, there is a section on there where you can get a hold of the Ethics Commission and ask a question. Email it down to them and say, hey, I've got this question. I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And they actually have an attorney down there that will write you back and give you an opinion about it. Sometimes they'll just give you an email opinion. Sometimes if they think it's a really critical issue, they'll actually do a formal opinion about it and publish it in their findings. And that not only helps you out, but it helps all the other municipalities out also if a new issue comes up. So if you ever run into a question like that, don't be afraid of it. Just, reach out to me or reach out to the Ethics Commission and they'll be able to answer any of your questions like that. The last thing I'd like to point out is our kind of our form of government. We've got a council and we've got a city manager. One of the things that I typically, well, I'm not going to say it's typical. Almost every municipality I've run into that I've represented over the past 15 years typically runs into, in a manager council form of government, conflicts between the public and employees and the city manager and the council. I would caution the council that whenever an employee or a member of the public would bring up a complaint or concern, that you make sure that those complaints and concerns are immediately relayed to the city manager. You can't imagine how many times cities have been sued and gotten into lawsuits because of issues with employees or the public when they try to circumvent the city manager or they try to circumvent council going around one way or the other. And the next thing you know, you end up in some sort of a lawsuit. You have this type of structure because you're kind of the legislative branch. And even though the mayor's the chief executive, the city manager is kind of your executive, runs day-to-day operations. So I would just encourage you to make sure that that's one of the major things you run into, because the public and employees always think, oh, well, we can run to council and go, I'm going to call Kim up and say, hey, we need to do this or that. But what happens is that she may try to work that, and then it doesn't get to Joe or something, and the next thing you know, you end up in a lawsuit. One of the ones I had was a stormwater issue. A member of the public complained to somebody on council. It didn't get relayed right to the city manager. Somebody's house gets flooded. Next thing they know, they filed a lawsuit against the council member and the city saying, well, I reported this and they didn't do anything about it. And then they get up in a lawsuit. So that's and the same thing kind of happens with employees in the administration, day-to-day operations. So just be careful of that. But again, these resources that are out there, there's a lot of things out there that can help you out. I'm here to help the council and obviously Joe out. If you guys, there's attorney-client privilege with each and every one of you, and also with the city manager. I have a duty to the city manager, but also each one of the council members. The way that my legal representation works is you are the officers, Joe's an officer, and if any one of you has a problem, reach out to me and I'd be happy to answer your question. Any questions about what I've talked about? I know we're going to have an executive session tonight about a few things. If there's any legal questions or questions about any of the ethics acts or anything, I'd be happy to answer them in the executive session also. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have three meetings that were held July 7th, July 24th, and July 15th that we cannot salvage records for. So if we could, we will enter that into the minutes officially, if the minutes from those meetings cannot be approved. And we need to approve the minutes from the regular session on February 2nd, special session on February 13th, and special session on February 23rd. If you've had a chance to look over those and there are no additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to accept as distributed. I do have some, I have on each one at the top. I would like to request that so it's easily find and date time. And whether it is a regular session or a special session. And one of the special sessions, also there was a roll call vote. And I would like for that to be recorded. And the date each constantly. No, not before. February. There's a second.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next are reports of city boards, commissions, and outside agencies. The cemetery board will meet March 16th at 4. HLC, March the 12th at 4:30. Planning Commission, March the 20th at 4. Parks and Rec, the 13th at 3:15. EDA, March 25th at 5 p.m. Tree Commission, March 24th at 3 p.m. Arts Council, March 10th at 6. The Land Reuse Agency, March 23rd at 5. Housing Authority, March 19th at 5. And Neighborhood Watch resumes this week, this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Solid Waste Authority, Wednesday, April the 15th at 6:30. And we still have vacancies on Historic Land Commission, Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, Municipal Appeals Board. And I'm not sure, the Code of Appeals says 3 positions, Weston Housing Authority. Maybe that's just Code of Appeals. I'm not sure.
I have a question. The neighborhood watch, is that the fire department, Debbie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No idea what one.
I
Is
think
it
I
in-
saw that online.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's not the dish, right? Not on the, yeah, I'm not on Facebook. All right, next sanitary board report, D.
Okay, I think you all have, probably my report in your packet. I'll just go over a couple of things with you. As far as the phase 2. project goes. We recently found out that we have to have a permit modification to our NPDES permit in order to add the drying beds to it. And so our engineer has prepared those documents and submitted the request to DEP for that. The plant staff has been working down at the treatment plant installing the second bank of the UV bulbs. And because of that installation of the second rack of those and the consistent cleaning that they're doing down there, we have at least the last 15 reporting days been in compliance with our fecals down there. And everything seems to be going along really well with those. So we just fingers crossed that that second bank did the trick and that the cleaning that we're doing a little more effectively is going to keep us in compliance with that samples. We've been gifted a couple of composite samplers down at the treatment plant. Those could have cost us about $16,000, but we've been gifted those. So other than putting in the electric for that, that's going to save us a heck of a lot of time where employees are concerned because they'll do the sampling for us and they won't have to run up and down the hill every hour just to take those samples for us. So we're very appreciative of those. Greater training. I'm sure you all well know. We have started advertising for that position. Interviewing for that within the next couple of weeks. We also got a new board member, John Nash, and he's been to a couple of meetings.
Excuse me,
I think
I'm a senior, I can't hear.
Yeah, she's having a battery now.
There's another one.
What happens when you turn 60, Lee?
It happens.
Right.
My voice goes very, very soft.
Very.
The, which part? How far?
Start from
Okay. About the composite samples. We were gifted a couple composite samplers this last month, and that saved us about $16,000. And this will save us some time and work and effort on the employees running up and down the hill for that. So we're very appreciative of those that were gifted to us from WVU. We also lost, like I said, and you guys are well aware of that, our operator in training, Kevin Butcher, this last period of time. So we have started to advertise for that position, and we'll be doing some interviewing for that within the next couple of weeks for his position and to help us out down there. In the meantime, we've kind of shuffled employees around a little bit, and Brent seems to have taken over some of those responsibilities and done very well in that. He was training with Kevin anyway, so he knows what he needs to do, and he stepped up very well and has taken over things in the last couple of weeks and done very good with that. As far as the financials go, total collections for last month was $165,315.41. Stormwater collections were $2,512.22. Your 2% was 1,420.15. And I think that's about it, unless you all have any questions. I'll be glad to answer them. Our meeting is scheduled for next Monday at 4:30. We're also going to be meeting with DEP remotely to discuss our NOV that we received from them on March the 24th, and that'll be from 1 to roughly 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You all are more than welcome to come and be a part of that discussion if you'd like. That'll be at City Hall in the conference room upstairs. We were,
Would encourage that,
sure, me too. It is.
that we have to abide by, that we're responsible for. So
Mhm.
everyone needs to be aware. Does anyone have questions for me?
I'm very sorry for the loss of Kevin. He will be very missed.
You will. We also got another board member, John Nash, within this last period. He's been to a meeting or two. I understand that his father passed away this weekend, Ted Nash.
Oh,
So
I
you might
didn't
keep him
realize
in your
that.
thoughts as well.
Thank you, Dee.
I did. My kid surprised me.
Next, finance.
I'm going to step on Joyce a little bit here and give most of the finance report. Just to give you a heads up, so I think she's in, is it week 3 of being finance manager? So far it's going really well. Primarily she's been working on catching up on those reconciliations. So she's been having fun chasing down those online payments that I've been telling you about. Lots of fun. So we're not caught up yet, but I think that we're on track then to be caught up on reconciliations by the end of March. And that's that domino we're waiting for to be able to give you good financial reporting again, starting in April, the way we used to give you, and we had a separate finance manager. So that's going very well. I'm having her focus on that almost solely right now, along with just a few other small tasks, which is why I'm giving the rest of the finance report this month. But I think next month, she'll be able to give the whole thing. So nothing else particularly substantial, of note this month. Fire fees, we collected a little over 21,000. So as far as the ebbs and flows of fire fee collections go, that's a pretty low flow. It seems like every month we either have a good month or a bad month. I don't know if that's just reflective of the way people pay their bills. But 21,000 makes that a pretty low month for us this past month. But if you go ahead and skip ahead to page 29 in your packet, you'll find the vacant structures report. Just a reminder, we have a vacant structure registry, and there is a cost to be on that registry. It's a quarterly cost. Because of the quarterly nature of the billings, we have months where we collect a lot of vacant structure fees, and then we have months where we collect very little vacant structure fees. This past month, we collected $4,200 in vacant structure fees. And so the thing we ask council to do now is to transfer those from the general fund to the designated vacant structures fund.
I'll move to approve that transfer.
We have a motion and a second to transfer $3,200 from general fund to the vacant structures fund. Any discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, so the next thing is a consideration of a transfer from the stormwater fund to the general fund. A little bit of background. So the stormwater fund is supported by that $1 charge on sewer bills for the stormwater fund. Because there's not a lot of money that goes into stormwater fund, we usually float these expenses out of general fund and then request reimbursement from stormwater fund later. It's been a while since I've requested that reimbursement, but also the stormwater fund is more liquid than it's been in the past. We've been collecting it enough years now where we don't need to have long periods. between reimbursements. So part of what I'm going to make into the new workflow for Joyce and going forward is monthly reimbursements to the general fund when there are expenses. We don't have stormwater expenses every single month, so there will be months where there's no transfer. But instead of doing this periodically, we're just going to add it to the monthly workflow the same way we do vacant structures. But today we've got a little bit of a catch up to do. So I think that starts there on page 30, and then you see that total on page 33 is $61,649.99. So that's the amount I have to ask you, and there's all of those expenses that you see itemized there. Those are all expenses that are eligible stormwater expensive that have been carried by general fund that now need reimbursed.
I'll move $61,649.99 from the stormwater fund to the general fund.
I'll second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
All right. And then starting on page 34, you have the check detail report. A reminder of what our workflow looks like when it comes to paying bills. Bills are sorted. They're approved by the city manager. They're paid by the finance manager. Then those checks go to at least one member of the administration. It would normally be the city clerk, and then at least one elected official, either the mayor or the vice mayor, for approval. Last several months, we've been taking it to both the mayor and the vice mayor rather than the city clerk, just because city clerk's been out for a little while, as you know, and so we've had an interim city clerk. And then this check detail report is where council gets to review every check and every bill that was paid during the course of the month. So I would ask you to approve the check detail report.
And certainly, if you have any questions about any expenses, now's the time to ask.
Yep.
What was the city hall training tuition?
Can you tell me what page it's on?
35.
Okay.
General fund, city hall training tuition.
Yeah, let me go there. I may not be able to tell you right now.
20.
Let me see. I would say that that is miscoded is what that is. Because that is a payment to Lynx. Lynx is our IT provider. So that's our monthly service fee for backups of server, all of our Microsoft Office licenses, all of our email accounts. They provide other IT services to us as well. And I think that that's supposed to be coded to 220, 440, 220. And it looks like when it was coded to 440, 221. So I will get that fixed. Yeah. No, it's just a miscode. I can fix it in the morning. You're welcome.
Check. I said no. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Public Works Director is on vacation this week, so we wish him well and reprieve. His report is in the packet.
I've done a good job of keeping the roads clean.
They have done a very good job.
They've been very busy, and we appreciate the work.
I think everybody in my ward appreciates having the holes on Brown Avenue patched.
Yeah, no doubt. And just a quick update on that, we're expecting the asphalt plants to open soon. And so right now, all those patches are with cold patch. So we can, and we do use a cold patch that is supposed to be a permanent patch, but all cold patch is not permanent patch. So when the asphalt plants open soon, we'll get out there and we'll start hot patching, and get some more permanent fixes out there too.
Fourth is.
For Court and Fourth.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
The buses go to the top one.
Gotcha.
Winter time.
Next, police department report.
Mike is sick tonight. But he sends his greetings and his report is in the packet. Oh, and I will give you this update. So after this week, Justice has 6 weeks left in Academy. And we just had an officer accept another offer. So we have another officer joining us in the middle of March. He's currently, I think he's got 13 years experience in Maryland State Police. He came to West Virginia, went to the academy, and began working for Glenville, and is now coming to Weston. So he's put in his notice at Glenville. He's accepted the offer at Weston, and he is on his way. So
Nice.
So can you make sure that we have police representatives at the neighborhood watch Wednesday?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't have anything else hardly. The 4th of July is coming up. We need to order the fireworks probably by the end of March. So we'll have to get approval. I think we usually have to pay half of that. So
we're gonna have a special session anyway.
that's what I
We'll get it
figured.
done.
So the ambulance service, you've seen the report for that. This is the best month we've had for that thing so far. So
Mhm.
the new ambulance is up and running. We've done since we put it in service Thursday afternoon. It's almost 5,000 miles since Thursday afternoon to today.
Oh, my.
You guys have been running like crazy.
I know reimbursements have been coming in slow.
Correct.
Are you maintaining your, good with that?
We're getting closer.
I think this past, just to add in,
Yeah.
I think this past month was probably the best
Yeah.
month we've had.
And we had some extra expenses this month because of the new ambulance and the lettering and that kind of stuff, so. But we did get the Medicaid approval come through. She sent me an email today that was approved and hopefully this VA stuff straightened out that we've been working on for months. So hopefully, not going to.
Questions for Chief Scott?
Thank you, Jimmy.
Building code zoning.
The building permits actually turned out better than what's in your packet. We had several last minute ones last day or two of the month. So we ended up with over $900 in income there. So it made it a little more respectable. Couple of things that have just happened in the last day or two, aren't February, but they'll be of interest to you. Today, Mon Power put the lights up at each end of the Haleville Bridge. I was going to go by after the meeting and see how bright they are. I had the Superior Environmental came by today, took samples of the old DOH building. Tomorrow he's going to be by. He has to get on the roof and take a sample of the roofing up there, and then he'll get those all sent off, and he's going to expedite those asbestos tests. I did get SHPO's approval back in the packet. It says that I got it sent off to them and I got their approval back. So SHPO has no problems with us doing that partial demolition. Joe and I had a conversation with DEP. They weren't enthusiastic about us using the rest of the funds for that, but he didn't say that we couldn't. So he wanted more information. So he'll have it with this asbestos test. And I've already sent them the SHPO approval and all that stuff.
Questions for Marty? Thanks, Marty, for following up again this last time.
Took a lot of begging.
No, and I brought the idea to you. It's been what, 4 months, 5 months?
They were supposed to have been done around the first of December. Yeah, it was 3 months later than they promised.
Oh, they're there. Animal control program.
Was non-existent this month, and we have meetings scheduled.
All right. City attorney. Who gave us a wonderful presentation to start out with. Thank you. Community development communications. Lauren has her report in there.
Good evening. So we've really seen an increase of positive engagement with our Facebook account. And our followers keep increasing. So I feel like that has been a really big thing. One of the most popular posts that we have shared on the page was about Lindsay's celebration of sobriety. And so I really like to share those really uplifting stories, and the community really engages and enjoys seeing that. And then our Facebook lives are always popular. I went live at the Chocolate Lovers Feast, and it did really well. In community engagement, I did visit Lewis County High School, the West Virginia tourism class, and got some insight of what the kids would like to see. Some of them, of course, are unrealistic. I got answers like a Gucci store or a mall. So educating them on small businesses and how these larger corporations can really impact a small community like ours in a negative way. It can be hurting our neighbors and their businesses. But they definitely, as always, a gymnasium, some kind of auxiliary gym is their biggest wish, along with attending a few other different events. On Track is now, we've been recruiting for On Track board members and people involved. I posted that last week, and within just a few days, we've already gotten 8 respondents of folks that are interested in joining in on the On Track program. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'll be reaching out with those people and continuing to go door to door to the businesses and discuss this opportunity with them as well. I've been going to various boards and commissions meetings, and some updates on that is the HLC is making progress for the Cultural Center project. It's a little slow, but we are getting there. I've been in contact with Region 7 and trying to push things along with that. The Arts Council is really active, and I'm really excited to see all of the different activities that they're offering. So, I'm going to encourage them to continue doing what they're doing. The Board of Parks and Rec is now starting to kind of get back up and going as well. They've expressed interest in joining the 4th of July activities. The Tree Commission, very active in different tree projects. The one thing that they did ask is that commission recognize Walmart for the tree planting efforts on Berlin Road. And Lewis County Farmers Market, we are planning. The farmers market will take place, the first market will be May 29th, and our last market is August 28th. We will continue with the music. So there'll be live music along with our farmers market as well. The progress on projects that we have going on, the Riverfront Park project is moving along with Kimley Horn. Joe's been in contact with them about that. The School Stroll project is a Lewis County Trail initiative, and we are awaiting information on a grant that we had submitted for that. And something else I'd really like to look into doing this year is the kids market at the Lewis County Farmers Market. This was originally a program offered through WVU Extension, and they did have that last year, but the funding was cut, so they no longer are offering this. And I'm going to be talking to some local businesses and organizations about partnering to be able to bring some sort of program similar. I did attend Central West Virginia Day at the Capitol and with the Lewis County EDA, and that was a great experience for sure. And then the Outdoor Economic Summit, where we sat up tables at the Capitol, and we're able to share some of the things that we've got going on. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Laura.
Mhm.
Is the Carp Festival still going on?
No, the Parks and Rec has decided not to do the Carp Festival this year. They are discussing some fishing tournaments as an alternative to the Carp Fest, but it was really difficult because we have such a large 4th of July festival to have 2 festivals back to back. It's a lot. It's very taxing on the volunteers.
Okay. What type of fishing tournaments and when do you possibly have those planned?
I will have to get with Parks and Rec and discuss and see what their intentions are.
Okay. And then under Board of Parks and Rec, I see the cameras have been installed at Live
Yeah.
Park. Has anything come from installing those cameras yet?
Well, they were just installed.
Yes.
Yes, I'm just gonna say yes.
Okay.
So yeah, that's really exciting is there are cameras there and the roof has been repaired on the pump house. We had some wind damage on that as well.
Thank you, Laura.
For the Harmony Summit, this was the first one that was held this year.
Yes.
Ray said the conference was good, but he said the best part of it were the contacts that were made. Did you
Yeah.
find that to be the same?
Absolutely. Yes. New do conferences and summits can kind of struggle getting speakers, finding out what is interesting and what we want to hear about. So I didn't really find a lot of the breakout sessions as valuable as I had hoped for, but the networking opportunities that were there was outstanding. And to be able to listen to other communities and what they have going on in the outdoor rec world was really interesting and inspiring.
The on-track program, that board and commission. So are these people filling out an application for council to approve,
That
just like any other board or commission?
We were told by West Virginia On Track and the Main Street group to
formally organize.
not organize it as a city board or commission because it's the intention that this would be independent of a city in its funding mechanisms eventually. And so if you start off by organizing it under the city, then you tie it to city funding. And the goal is that
understand.
it becomes independent.
I understand. The hubcap meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very similar to that. It's like the next step.
Mhm.
I understand now. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Next, we have the city parks report. Do you have anything in addition?
No, maybe 4 pages back. I just know that we have a couple of newer members. And so I wrote in there just a synopsis of sort of what I do every day.
That was nice.
Sometimes I don't know how you get it all done in one day.
So,
You have a lot on your plate.
but some of the finance there is what we collected for municipal fees and business licenses, and we're started the new little project kind of thing that we're working on and for past couple of weeks and trying to get a little bit more income, get these businesses who are doing business in our town and make them pay it.
Are we still working in data maps?
We are, and get to this.
HDL.
Yeah, HD, it's called HDL now. I'll talk about that a little bit in my city manager report, because we're working on a project that would help us distance from them in the future. We don't plan to stop using them, but we hope to use them less because they're expensive.
Do we have any new businesses coming in?
We didn't for the month of February. We had one today, someone from Buchanan. And it was a pest control company that's doing business here.
No brick and mortar.
Yeah. We
Okay.
hope it increases.
Next, city managers report.
Right, I'll try to keep this short because I know we have a full agenda, but there's a few things that I just wanted to point out. The camera is up at Lively, and we already have compiled a significant amount of evidence that's allowed us to take action against bad actors in the park. A few other things you'll see in your packet. The Consolidated Public Retirement Board is reducing the employer required contribution for retirement this next fiscal year by 1%. So that's good news for our budget. Their actuaries have come back and said that the Consolidated Public Retirement Board funds are doing well. And so they were able to pull that back a little bit. PEIA has announced that we can expect it to go up 3%. That is, I think, the least bad news you could possibly expect from PEIA. We've had several years of percent increases in the teens, so 3% doesn't sound so bad this year. I'm so, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself. I can't remember if we talked about this in a previous meeting. But the way which we would, so there's about $30,000 left in the DEP demolition grant. The current demolition that we're looking at, we know would cost significantly more than that. The way that we plan to fund that overage is using money from the Vacant Structures Fund. We are looking at using so much of the Vacant Structures Fund that we have been tossing around the idea internally that instead of doing that, we would use that money from the Vacant Structures Fund to buy an excavator so that we could handle our own demolitions. We've run into just a few hiccups along the way, so I don't know if we're going to end up going down that road. At this point, we're still marching towards the getting a vendor to do that demolition, which means we would be paying the overage out of Vacant Structures Fund. If we do that, that doesn't leave enough money in Vacant Structures Fund to buy an excavator. So we probably wouldn't be running our own demolition program. But other towns our size do run their own demolition programs. They find it very successful. And in talking with the state, so this year it looks like the demolition grants are probably going to be funded again. They're going to be funded through a different mechanism of funding. So they're going to be funded probably with state general fund dollars. In the past, they were funded with ARPA dollars. Because they were funded with ARPA dollars, it was not possible to allow cities to do their own demolitions and then bill the grant for time and labor. Labor and materials, I should say. But if it is funded by state general fund dollars and we get another grant, then it is possible that we could bill time and materials to that grant. And the state is open to that idea because they know that it would allow us to get a lot more demolitions done for the same money. So they're open to that. So we continue to throw this around internally. Like I said, I don't know that we'll reach a point that we find a way forward. Because I think the first priority is getting the demolition done that we want to get done. And then the second question is there a way that we can get some equipment and get it done too? Yeah,
Did place an ad in the newspaper to put that out, that demolition out to bid. That ad will come out not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, for 2 weeks. We don't have to award a bid, but we'll have competitive bids so we can make more important too.
yeah. And I think that's going to be what's going to set the pace for us to figure out whether or not it's possible for us to buy our own excavator in-house instead. I think the big barrier right now is not so much the state grant, the funding that we're in, as it is to buy an excavator big enough to do the project that we're looking at right now. We would almost need something that's too big to do small projects on a hillside in a tight neighborhood. So that's where we're caught Wayne right now. And the last thing is just so you know that we're working on a bigger collections projects right now. With a little bit of help from Sam, we've identified a way that we can identify businesses that are operating in the city that need a business license and need to pay B&O taxes, and then we can approach them ourselves. In the past, when it comes to B&O taxes and business license, we've used HDL, which used to be called Datamax, as a collections agency. They have always had their magic 8-ball way of figuring out who's doing business in the city. And so we were very dependent on them to figure out who was doing business in the city. And then when they helped us collect business license and B&O taxes, we would pay them back 50% of that collection, and then 50% of that collection for the next, I think, 3 years. So 12 quarters, we would be losing 50% of B&O taxes from those businesses that they identified. But until recently, we've had no good mechanism internally for identifying businesses that were doing business off our radar because they were off our radar. But our radar has gotten better. So we've been working on billing businesses and getting business license invoices out there, getting B&O tax forms out there. So that's been the big collections push this past month. And I think that's all I have to report, unless you have any particular questions. There's lots on the agenda to talk about, so.
Is there a motion to approve all the department reports?
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And please let the minutes reflect that we have no old business on the agenda, so we'll move into new business. Consideration of ordinance 2026-01, an ordinance amending the May 11th, 2021 ordinance creating 2-hour zones on Main Street.
Yeah, so on May 11, 2021, the council passed an ordinance. That was before we were numbering our ordinances. It was an ordinance creating a 2-hour parking zone on Main Street. We do also have other places downtown that we have since implemented 2-hour parking. And as a little bit of cleanup, we need to go back and make sure that those things are reflected properly in the ordinance.
Is this going to affect private residences?
So this actually, to be very candid, this is about bringing the ordinance in line with what's already out there. The ordinance we have says that we've authorized 2-hour parking on Main Avenue. It doesn't say that we've authorized 2-hour parking on Center Avenue, on Court Avenue, on Bank Avenue, or on West 2nd Street. And we have placed 2-hour parking signs in all those places.
Oh,
And so the police department has rightfully said, because we don't see this in the Code of Ordinances, we're not enforcing this until there's been a correction. So this provides that correction. So there's no intention to change anywhere that we have 2-hour parking, with one exception. There's a business on Main Avenue that has requested a 2-hour parking sign. Not because they're really worried about how long people park, but because they think people don't realize that there's street parking in front of their business. And folks always say, where am I supposed to park? And they say, you can park on the street. And they say, we can park on the street. So they think a 2-hour parking sign will help folks realize that there's parking on the street. And that's sort of that business request, and that's Appalachian Oddities has made that request. And so that business requesting that sent us back to the ordinances to say, well, where are we authorized to put 2-hour parking? And then that made us go, uh-oh. So it's just a correction. Mhm.
You better serve to put, find, say, parking this side only, or side of the street only. The people park it. Some park out behind, some park on the street. Instead of a 2-hour limit.
Yeah, I mean, the business has requested the 2-hour thing. I think we can, it's probably between them and the street commissioner which is the Public Works Director, to decide what the best approach is. But at this point, we just need to correct them. Incomplete language.
Can we have the decorative signs also?
Decorative signs?
Yes, like what's also on Main Street, just to keep it uniform into that ward,
Okay. Yeah, I
Please.
can take a look at it.
Yeah. just like what we have downtown,
Okay.
the decorative.
I,
Uh,
I will certainly take a look at it. I have
Thank
no
you.
clue. I'll be honest, I know very little about it, where they came from, what we paid, how much they cost. But I'll figure it out
local.
and,
It's all came locally.
okay.
Okay, is there a motion to have the first reading of ordinance 2026-01 by title only?
I move to have the first reading of ordinance 2026-01 by title only, an ordinance amending the May 11, 2021 ordinance creating 2-hour parking zones for each year.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
An ordinance amending the May 11th, 2021 ordinance creating 2-hour parking zones on Main Street.
I'll move to accept the first reading of 2026-01 ordinance amending the May 11th, 2021 ordinance creating 2-hour parking zones on Main Street.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. We'll have voting by roll call.
Oh, crap. Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Josh Droppelman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump.
Yes.
Councilman Adam Sims.
Yes.
Motion carried. Next, consideration of ordinance 2026-2, an ordinance establishing a city connectivity and public Wi-Fi program, authorizing a community anchor connectivity initiative, and establishing a trial public Wi-Fi pilot program set to expire September 30th, 2026, unless renewed.
Okay, so we talked about this at the last regular session and then also at a special session in February. Two things going on here for different goals. One is being able to take Wi-Fi into some of our nonprofits downtown. The impetus for that is wanting to put a license plate reader on the old United Bank building, which is currently controlled by the Glass Museum. The Glass Museum has expressed a willingness for us to put a camera there, but we need to get internet to that camera. And they've said you can put your camera there and you can put your point to point to get internet to the building only if you share that internet with us in the building, because they don't have internet in that building. So this would allow us to do that. It also allows us then to share internet with other community anchors in the downtown area, such as Lewis County First at the Little Brick Building, or possibly the Mountaineer Military Museum. And then the other thing it does, and I hope that this is reflective of the feedback I heard from council, is that it lets us put Wi-Fi in the public parks, but on a very time-limited pilot program, so that the city manager can review whether or not that is increasing vagrancy, and then come back to a regular session in September and give council report on that, and council can decide whether or not they want to continue that program.
Questions, or are we ready to consider a motion to have the first reading?
If it's determined that there is a problem with the parks, but not with nonprofits downtown,
Yep.
we can redo the ordinance at that time.
Yeah,
Like-
so if you pass the ordinance right now, it creates no end date for the nonprofits downtown, but it creates a default end date of September 30th, 2026 on the Wi-Fi in public parks, unless council takes affirmative action to renew it. So if in the next, like, let's say 9 months from now, council takes no further action on this topic, Wi-Fi would continue to be available in those nonprofits downtown, but then would cease to become available in public parks on September 30th. So it requires council to take an affirmative action to continue this in the parks past September 30th.
How far does this stretch?
We're only looking in basically the downtown area, which I think is defined in the ordinance somewhere. Let me flip to it. Page one. Yeah. Is that page 88? Yeah, yeah. Page 88, section 3C defines the service area between Main and Court, First and Fourth.
So that's not gonna be just limited to the parks. I know we discussed this, but I've been thinking about it and I still have kind of some qualms about the public part of it. So anybody in that area can get onto our Wi-Fi. If you live in an apartment on Main Street, you're gonna be able to get onto our Wi-Fi. If you live in a house down by the park, you're gonna be able to get on our Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's possible that someone who lives next door to either Lively Park or Holt Square would be able to get into the Wi-Fi. But this doesn't cover that whole area. It just covers those public spaces that we identify within that service area. So it's basically Lively Park and Holt Square. And maybe you could argue that maybe that Willow Park is included in that too, but I don't think we intend to do anything at Willow Park. I think it's really just Lively and Holt.
So none of the residents there will be able to log on to our Wi-Fi between those parks.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to say it would be impossible for someone who lives next door to a park that they wouldn't be able to get it because they probably could. But when we're setting up what's called a remote access point, we're setting kind of the geographic boundary for that. And the geographic boundary we're setting for the particular access point is not this entire service area. It's just the park.
So it's
Right. Right.
And just to be clear, Joe, if it is found that, you know, it's having a negative impact on the park, say we figure this out in June,
Mhm.
council wouldn't have to wait until September 30th to end the Wi-Fi there, would they?
No.
Something that could be done earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Links. Yeah.
And we don't, if we're, are we considered a provider where we would have any kind of FCC regulatory?
So I'm going to read part of the ordinance, and then some of that maybe I can let Sam answer. Yeah. So section 10, participation in the program is discretionary, capacity limited, and subject to the criteria set forth herein. Approval or denial shall be based on neutral objective factors and shall not be construed as an endorsement of any participating institutions or activities. So I think the important thing about that is that we are not identifying ourselves as a service provider to whom you are entitled service. It's discretionary and capacity limited based on the city's discretion. So for example, if the Wi-Fi goes out at Lively Park, we aren't under any obligation then to say, oh, we need to get out there and fix it in the next 24 hours, because it's discretionary. And then as for the community anchor programs, that gets a little bit different. I think I'll let Sam talk to this, but part of what you see in this ordinance is that then what happens after this ordinance is then the city, via the city attorney, needs to develop an acceptable use policy and a connection policy. And Sam, do you have anything you want to add on that?
I think it's self-explanatory. You have a policy in place on use of the internet. Kind of like what you would see when you log into a hotel Wi-Fi or something like that. You always get a notice, hey, you can't use this for certain things. They have the right to disconnect for anything. And of course, you all know as council, at any point in time, you send an ordinance. So if something happens, you're not happy with it, you can always amend or rescind it. There are a few things Joe and I need to hash out like policy on it. few things we talked about, license agreements, things like that, hashed out. But those are things that after the ordinance gets passed, get those punched up.
On that service area, can we include somewhere in there where it's only the park areas? Because it just says the downtown area down that jumps like on Main Street, Fourth Street, between First Street and Fourth Street to the public.
Yeah, we probably just need a separate definition, because that definition is meant to encompass then what community anchor institutions are we including? And it's those community anchor institutions within those boundaries. So we can add a separate definition. If that's something you want to either make a motion to amend, or if you want to kick it back to
That's whatever.
have that changed.
You want to table it and
That's up to what everybody
revisit?
thinks. I think we can go ahead and have the first reading if you so choose. And if it gets approved by council, we can include that in the motion, that we're going to make that amendment to include a separate definition. That way we aren't holding up progress.
By the way, I'm not gonna jump into being an expert in IT, but I've been involved in some geofencing cases, and I think that, to be honest with you, I think from an IT perspective, you can geofence where you want the service and where you don't. So you can put the definition in there, but I think Joe and the IT guy can get on there and say, well, we're only gonna do it. And they can geofence it, I think. I've had a few cases like that where that's come up.
That's Andy.
Because when I wasn't here, I was sick during the initial discussion. The purpose for doing this is for opening up the public file. What's the purpose?
Yeah, so we've had some request for it, particularly when we have groups, and I would say not so much at Lively, but at Holt. There are groups when they meet there, they're having religious services and they want to stream music or something. They're asking if there's any availability for that sort of thing. So, and then on the other side, the community anchor side, we've had both Lewis County First ask about it for the sake of the Little Brick Building, and then, like I said, the Glass Museum. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, there's been a request for it. I wouldn't say that they're not beating down the door over it, but it's been requested.
That area tends to be a place where people gather when we're having parades in town. Because we do the announcing in front of the Little Brick Building, and there's a lot of people that congregate at those spots.
I'm ready to move forward. I'm not sure how to word this. Yes. Which would include,
You could do that when you accept the first reading.
okay. I will move to have the first reading of ordinance 2026-02 by title only.
There's a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
2602, an ordinance establishing a city connectivity and a public Wi-Fi program, authorizing a community anchor connectivity initiative, and establishing a trial public Wi-Fi pilot program set to expire September 30th, 2026, unless renewed.
And if you wish to accept the first reading of this ordinance, now's the time to include the amendment that you're going to make.
Go ahead, Debbie.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I zoomed out there.
oh, okay. So
You move it as
at this time is when you would
Amendment.
like to have your amendment.
I move to accept the first reading of the ordinance 2026-02, establishing city connectivity to parks and pilot program as amended by adding the definition. Location.
But
location,
specifying,
service area,
maybe specifying.
parks.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll have voted by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Ostrowman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump.
Yes.
Councilman Adam Sims.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next, consideration of ordinance 2026-03, an ordinance of the city of Weston establishing a Freedom of Information Act request policy.
This is really not out of line. I think the county charges per page. It can run into some money.
Yeah, so what I think kind of spurred this was recently, and this is something Sam and I have talked about for a long time, but then recently we received a FOIA from an out-of-state corporation that basically FOIA'd what's going to be over 1,000 pages of documents. Because they've FOIA'd basically every piece of document related to every vendor payment, which is basically every invoice, every P card receipt, every statement. So over 1,000 documents that we have to gather and then turn over. And because we don't have any FOIA ordinance, because we don't have any FOIA policy on the books, what will happen is we will spend several hours gathering those things and turning them over. We have already responded to that and said, this is going to take, because you should respond to FOIAs within 45 days. I'm sorry, within 5 days. But sometimes that response is, we need more time than 5 days to gather this information. So we've already responded. We said we need more time to gather this information. We will gather that information. We will turn it over. But I would note that all the FOIAs that we get from local residents usually amount to a handful of pages. And so under this ordinance, they would be exempt from paying anything because if the total comes out to less than $5, then the fees will be waived. That's on page 94 of your packet. That's in section 3.5. So really of all the local, because we do probably get 3 to 4 local residents who request information every year, and we provide that. Usually they're requesting something that's specific to a particular project. I want to see the invoices related to the city accomplishing this or that project or whatever. And so you're talking about usually five pages of materials that we're being asked to gather. I can't recall any time in my memory that we've received a FOIA from an actual citizen of Weston that was more than maybe 10 or 15 pages in response. But then there are these outside corporations, and what they're doing is they're compiling data for the internet. So, these websites that compile, open government secrets type stuff. And other municipalities and other governmental agencies are charging those websites for gathering that information, and we're not. And it takes a lot of time and effort to gather it. So I think it's time that we have a FOIA policy on the books.
And according to the Secretary of State, we can't charge for the manpower, but we can charge for the page.
That's correct. Yeah, so the only one modification that I would ask that you make, so I am recommending that you pass this, is to strike in section 3.3 electronic communications. Sam and I were just talking about this, and just talking about wanting to be clear about things, and we just think it would be clearer to strike that point. Sam, do you have anything to add to that?
I'll move to have the first reading of ordinance 2026-03, striking section 3.3, part of the ordinance, an ordinance of the city of Weston establishing a Freedom of Information Act FOIA request policy by title only.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Ordinance 2026-03, an ordinance of the city of Weston establishing a Freedom of Information Act FOIA request policy.
I'll move to accept ordinance 2026-03 by title only. Also striking section 3.3.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? Voting by roll call.
Who seconded, please?
John.
Josh? Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Josh Droppelman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump.
Yes.
Councilman Adam Sims.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, consideration of resolution 2026-01 to transfer real property.
All right, so the resolution is found on page 96 of your packet. I have two communications from the Land Reuse Agency. The first is that they asked me to tell you that they are very appreciative of the city council's willingness to float their expenses via the general fund. The second is that they have asked that this piece of property located at District 9, Map 6, Parcel 269 be transferred to the Weston Land Reuse Agency. And you'll see there that such transfer is made with the express understanding that the Weston Land Reuse Agency shall negotiate as part of any final dispensation of said property, terms ensuring the city maintain right-of-way acceptable to the city of Weston.
I move to accept the resolution 2026-01, a resolution authorizing the transfer of certain real estate property to the land reuse agency.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Josh Droppelman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump.
Yes.
Councilman Adam Sims.
Yep.
Motion carries. Next, consideration of appointment of audit procurement committee.
It's that time again. So RFPs have been sent out to auditors, and we're expecting proposals back by the end of this month. So we need a committee appointed to select an auditor for the city. In the past, the council has appointed the city manager, the mayor, and one member of council. And then the finance manager acts in an advisory committee to that, or an advisory capacity to that committee. And of course, after that committee has done its work, there will still be a recommendation that comes back to council, because there will be an always very large monetary figure attached to getting that done. So I'm just asking that you go ahead and appoint the city manager, the mayor, and a member of council.
I move to Josh Drop. Are you agreeable to that, Josh? Is there a second?
Oh, I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion except from Josh? Welcome to the council. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Consideration of setting meeting date for levy discussion.
Just a real quick word of explanation, especially for two new council people going through their first budget cycle. Don't be scared by the word levy. We're not doing anything different or anything new. That's just state talk for the budget. The municipal levy that is on your county tax bill, in order for that to be levied, the city must pass a balanced budget. And that first budget estimate must be turned into the state sometime between March 7th and March 28th. And so there has to be a budget estimate meeting sometime in that time period. By March 3rd every year, the county assessor has to get the valuation of all properties within the city to the city so that the city can begin that process of estimating the budget. One day ahead of schedule this year, we did receive it just today. So the finance manager and I, in the next week or two, will begin preparing the first budget estimate. And then we need to have a meeting date to get together. What we will be doing at this meeting is passing a very preliminary first draft of a budget so that we can continue to tax on the county tax bill July 1st. Those taxes won't be going up. They can't. So it will stay the same. And then from there, the third Tuesday of April is when the city council actually passes its first approved budget. So I think that falls on the 21st this year. And that is mandated in state code that that be the third Tuesday in April. So in March, we pass a budget estimate. On April 21st, we pass what we call budget number one. And then in July, we'll pass revision one. And revision one is really the one that we then run with through the rest of the year. Revision one is based on actual carryover. So right now we're projecting carryover. And then by the time we get to July, we'll have an actual carryover number. And so a hard budget to put in place. So this budget meeting is the first of three that we'll have this summer, basically to set the budget. If you have no particular preference, my preference would be either for March 17th or March 24th in the evening. You should.
Available on those days.
24th would be better for me.
24th would be better.
Yeah, it's fine. We can do 24th, yeah.
I can't do it then. Sorry. The only evening.
I can do the 17th though.
Right, you can do
I
the
can do
17th.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
two, that'd be in two places.
Can't you do that?
Not a third. A third is kind of stretching me.
So March 17th.
Okay, I can do that. Thank you, Adam.
Next, consideration of invoices to Shriver Trucking in the amounts of $5105.55 and $6,500.
That for salt.
I'm sorry, we're having issues this week with our PDF combining software and somehow those didn't get put in there. But they're once again invoices for salt, and because they're over $5,000, I come and request city council to authorize them.
I'll move to authorize payment to Shriver Trucking in the amounts of $5,105.55 and $6,500.
Wait, I had one question before. It says, did you say 106 or 1? Because the invoice says 5106 and our consideration says 5105. There's a dollar difference, is that?
It might be a fat finger.
Well, we'll state the amount of the actual invoice.
Okay. Okay, I move to make payment to Shriver Trucking in the amount of $5,106.55 and $6,500.
I'll second.
Okay. Been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next, consideration of WVHDF grant pursuit and congressional directed spending request.
Yeah, so there's a brief summary there on page 97. The council likes to pre-authorize grant requests, especially when there might be a match requirement. And so there's 4 things that I'm looking to pursue right now. Hopefully none of them require a match. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. First, the LRA has asked the city to pursue on its behalf a grant from the West Virginia Housing Development Fund. And so this would be pre-development money for the redevelopment of property in Ward 1. Additionally, I'm working with Region 7 right now. We're talking about requesting congressionally directed spending. Right now, Congressman Moore's office has opened up those requests. He opened them up last week and they're due Friday. So I don't have a finished request to put in front of you because that's a pretty quick timeline. But Region 7 is helping us complete a request for replacement of terracotta sewer lines within city limits. Additionally, Kimley Horn is helping us pursue phase 2 funding for the Riverfront Park project. And then police cruisers. Region 7 is helping us possibly pursue something with police cruisers. So this is the one that may end up having a match requirement.
Is that the Homeland Security or Homeland?
Well,
Agency?
and so this is what, so there was additional additional guidance just came out from Congressman Moore's office Friday.
Okay,
And part of that guidance was to say, we don't really want to see requests for less than $1 million. And so part of our challenge has been pursuing through Homeland Security was probably the better option. But it's hard to come up with $1 million of Homeland Security specific needs. The other option then would be to pursue through USDA,
right.
and it would be easier for us to scrape together $1 million in USDA needs. But then that one probably comes with a match. So Region 7, Shane down at Region 7 is still working through, like I said, new guidance just came out Friday. So he's working through what the best option for the city is. And like I said, it's due Friday. So
Right.
so we'll know by Friday what we're doing. But his last leaning was to say we'll request through Homeland Security. So that is
Which
the
we could add a fire department truck onto that pickup.
yes, yeah, we can add fire department to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Questions? I'll entertain a motion to allow the city manager to pursue the grant request as listed. That's
A second.
it's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, consideration of fiscal year 26 general fund budget adjustment number 6.
I see that this document didn't make it into your final packet. I'm not sure if it made it into the earlier packet that you had, if you had time to review it. It didn't. Then I'll just ask you to table it and we'll cover it at the March 17th meeting.
I'll move the table.
Been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, we're going to move to reports of city council before we consider executive session. So I will, initially just say welcome to, your first regular meeting. It's nice to have you on board. And I'll turn it over to Ward 1.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
And I look forward to working with you for a long time. Thank you to everybody who works so hard every day, gets up and goes to work and makes our community a better place. I know that you work long hours and dedicate a lot of your lives to the city of Weston and representing us, whether you're on the clock or not. And I really appreciate you. I also appreciate our volunteers in looking at the boards and commissions, particularly the Arts Council that has been so active. And I encourage everyone to drop in on an Arts Council event at Hart House there. I think Laura does a really good job with posting those postings and sharing those postings, and just check out the city Facebook page and for their events. Thank you. That's all I have.
I just want to say thank you. You know, I'm trying to hit the ground running. I appreciate the narration. I appreciate everything you guys do, you know, not as a council member, but as a, you know, a citizen of Weston. I can see the strides that everyone's making and turning Weston around. And it's a huge asset and it's a place to be proud of. And it couldn't happen if it wasn't for all of you guys, for everything you do. So I greatly appreciate it. If there's anything I can do to help, anything, just let me know.
Again, I would like to also thank our staff, our volunteers, everybody for all that they do. Sam, for all the hard work you've been doing, catching us up on all these ordinances and getting us headed in the right direction legally. I'd like to also give a shout out to Marty for getting the lights on the bridge. I know that was a contentious thing when the bridge was being built. And I do believe that is going to
make it a lot safer for people using that bridge and for the pedestrians that may be walking across that bridge, especially as the weather gets nicer. So I thank you for the work there. Looking forward, when we're looking at budget, I think we may have to assess the potholes and paving there, patching things. So make sure we got enough to get our roads up to par there. And I'm really glad to hear about the new officer because, you know, safety is one of my big things besides paving. And it's really great that we're going to have another officer and hopefully we get our officer out of the academy. And I know that's going to alleviate some of the workload on our officers who are putting in a lot of time. And we do appreciate the efforts that they put forth to make our community better. I'm also looking forward to the spring cleanup, so that's something we need to start planning for. I know Judy always took care of that, so. And Make It Shine Day is also coming up. As a council, I know it's fun. I know last year the mayor and I were out there. It was a nice warm day, wasn't it there? Getting the clean up our city, and I look forward to having some more volunteers from council out there. Right, Dean?
Right.
Look forward.
All right. Well, first of all, Josh, congratulations. Really looking forward to working with you and having you on the council here.
Thanks, sir.
I do want to appreciate all the hard work that all the city employees and volunteers have put in. You guys are what makes the city run. Warmer weather's coming, so looking forward to that. Really, looking forward to having people come out and enjoy the city and enjoy the parks and, all the activities that we have planned in Weston coming up this year. Really looking forward to having hopefully another great turnout at the 4th of July celebration. Do want to thank the fire department for all your guys' hard work and getting that together. And so just looking forward to having a great spring and a great summer in the city of Weston.
Before moving on, I did have a question about our city meeting day. Usually that's after we pass the budget for the year.
Yeah.
And I
Look-
wondered if you keep that on the radar and get a date set as soon as we can.
I think, do we have a tentative date yet, Laura? Remind me. We just said May. Okay, yeah, we've said tentatively May, and then we do have a tentative week set up for cleanup already. And real quick, good news on cleanup. The Solid Waste Authority is going to help us pay for that this year. So we're going to have a little bit of additional support with that.
Are we doing the tire amnesty too?
Yes,
That's great.
And we'll be set up at the same location that it was in front of the asylum.
And I would like to remind citizens that the tire amnesty is for residents of outside of it's Lewis County residents. You don't have to live it within the city. You do have to have a valid driver's license. So, thank you.
This time, she could go into executive session to discuss legal and personnel.
Move to enter executive session to discuss legal and personnel.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
7:41. Now, right now. Okay. You're gonna get us seated at the, okay, at the desk?
Let me know if she likes that birthday. Well, I liked the near. I like those. Or let me know if she likes them. Now, the chocolate you can't get down here, but you can get the vanilla. Pictures. Oh. Yeah.
Stand up on it.
Okay, taking a couple, so just keep smiling. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
I need my notes.